Hi folks, Red Labor here. I hope you're having a great day once again. And I want to talk about Occupy Wall Street. You remember Occupy Wall Street. They were supposed to be the progressive lefty answer to the Tea Party. And how glad I am that there was media attention somewhat brought to this group. But when people started noticing Occupy Wall Street, they started to say some really silly things that weren't really said about the Tea Party. Yet both the Tea Party and Occupy Wall Street started similarly in the sense that it was spontaneous. And so when Occupy Wall Street started taking place, the reaction to many people were like, hey, they don't know why they're protesting. They're just protesting to protest. Well, the Tea Party sort of started out that way too, but it mobilized into a very strong movement. Unfortunately for America, it did. But Occupy Wall Street is, also formulated into a strong movement itself, in the sense that it's raising awareness about corporatism that exists in America. And why is there an Occupy Wall Street? From my perspective, I would have to say Occupy Wall Street exists to revert America back to some degree of common sense. Because the insurance companies and the banks and they're just so predatory to what they do to regular Americans, and they have a lot of political influence, and they're harming Americans in the process. And I'm glad there are people out there saying enough with this shit, and there were people like myself that were hoping that there could be a progressive challenger in the 2012 Democratic primaries to President Obama. Someone like Howard Dean or Russ Feingold, who could just raise the political issues that Obama's too chicken shit to raise. And disappointed that there was no progressive challenger. I think that Occupy Wall Street was a default progressive challenger to the Obama administration. And anyway, I want to say kudos to this movement, and I hope to see this movement, other movements similar, grow stronger. There is of course, when people raise their voice against corporate abuse and the excesses of capitalism, crony capitalism. It's not even capitalism anymore. You had these pundits out there and these spokespeople out there saying, "Oh yeah, that's what they're doing. They're raising class war. They're bringing up class warfare again." Now, class warfare is not a negative thing. If people are being treated like shit in the workplace and being treated like shit by banks and by the insurance industry and being ripped off by these corporate interests, yeah, they have a right to be politically engaged. Scott Walker in Wisconsin, when they did the recall, I'm sorry that the people of Wisconsin. I have respect for the progressive tradition of Wisconsin. I'm sorry that Governor Walker will remain governor. Oh, to Governor Scott Walker, here's my middle finger to you. But anyway, the thing about it is that with the corporate abuse that goes on, there needs to be a response. And so, the right wing wants the poor and the middle class. They want the middle class to disappear, and they want the poor to stay in their place. And that should be unacceptable. That should be unacceptable. So I am glad that there is an Occupy Wall Street to try to bring back such antiquated, old-fashioned concepts like restoring America's middle class. The whole idea that you graduate from high school or college, you can work in a job for 25, 30, 40 years, have generous retirement, and before that retirement, have enough money to own a nice home, and to raise your kids, in a safe neighborhood setting, and just and have money for them to go to college, and and you can take summer vacations, and be comfortable, economically speaking, comfortable. I mean, I'm glad that I grew up in such a setting like that myself. But it's getting to be more and more rare, and we need to bring back the middle class, and there are some noble solutions. Some people don't like the word protectionism, but we need to protect our American industries. We need to stop the outsourcing. We need to stop the global trade that's negative on us. I mean, I'm okay with free trade if free trade is fair trade, but when fair trade is tossed aside and it's corporately managed trade, then we have a problem. I want to bring back fair trade. The idea of returning our industries here, and when we do return to industries, that it'd be nice if we can go back to having a third of the workforce. At one time we were 35% of the workforce were unionized, and we had more middle class people when the workforce was unionized by 35%. Now we have less than 10%, and people want to blame unions for everything in this country. It's mathematically impossible to blame the unions for all the problems in this country when labor unions are less than 10% of the workforce. So let's just disprove that corporate myth about unions being problematic. I like the idea of just being a community again. The sense of community has evaporated from our American culture with all this globalization and outsourcing that has gone on over the years. I mean, it's just absolutely cruel. It is actually the most anti-American thing that goes on. So, all you people from the Tea Party that wants to wrap yourself around the flag and act like you're more patriotic than anybody else, when you go down to Wal-Mart and you see every fucking item on the shelves made in China, are you being patriotic for real? Are you really being patriotic? I mean, there is a fine line between crony capitalism that exists here and the bullshit communism that exists over there in China. And there is an unholy marriage. I mean, when Beijing and Walmart are partners and everything, that's, to me, that's a problem. And no, I'm not bashing the people of China. It's the government of China. Of course, they're a communist government, and they just, they incorporated some crony capitalist mechanisms in their economy, and so it makes their communism, probably a tad bit more efficient, but still brutal just the same. And yet, I remember with Tiananmen Square, members of Congress from both parties extending most favored nation status to China. What kind of bullshit is that? Anyway, getting back to Occupy Wall Street. Keep up the good work, fight the good fight, and let's do what we can for social and economic justice and returning the middle class back as a concept in America. Thank you.